just wanted to tell you a little bit kind of about the story of last year or two with Common Cause and the corporate contributions issue. As you may know, Common Cause is a national nonpartisan group that was founded essentially as the idea of a citizens lobby, an organization that would promote citizen participation in the political process and would hold elected leaders accountable. It was founded in 1970 by John Gardner and has, over the decades, worked largely on campaign finance, freedom of information, government ethics, those kind of issues, voting machines, etc. And the Hawaii chapter was very active here in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then around 2001, it kind of fell apart. There were funding issues and other things. So a couple of years ago, a few of us just started thinking, hey, we should rebuild this. Hawaii could really use a Common Cause chapter to look at all these process issues. So we started sort of getting organized, and in 2008 session last year, we got kind of swept up in this corporate contributions issue. I don't know how much background you guys have on this, but basically in '05, legislature passed a law that limited corporate contributions to $1,000 aggregate per election. So that means corporations donating to campaigns from their treasury could only spend $1,000 per election. That's it, and that's very low, practically close to a ban, and that's, in our minds, a good thing. There's this pending lawsuit, and the law is kind of in limbo right now, but sort of with all this lack of clarity, legislators have been taking this opportunity to try to repeal the limit and allow much more corporate money into campaigns, which we've taken an issue with. And so a lot of organizations like Common Cause and League of Women Voters and Sierra Club and Voter on Hawaii, got together on this topic and ultimately figured out, no, this is wrong. We should ban corporate contributions from campaigns just like they do in 20-something other states and at the federal level. It's one thing if individual employees or executives or whoever want to donate to campaigns, but it's another thing to take actual money from corporate treasury itself and donate to campaigns, because that's completely unequal with what the ordinary citizen can donate. So all of our groups sort of got really into this, and we've been sort of following this issue for the last couple of years. This year, it started off with House Bill 539, and it was written to allow corporate contributions up to $25,000. And in the Judiciary Committee hearings, which happened in the middle of the day on a weekday, it was amended and raised to allow unlimited amounts, so not $25,000, but unlimited. We protested, and we mobilized our members and supporters and sent out press releases and all that. And ultimately, it was recommitted, so effectively killing the bill. And we knew from past years' experience that we weren't quite done yet. And House Bill 215 later on was scheduled in House Finance, and this was a bill also dealing with campaign finance, so we were watching it. And we went to several hearings. It was deferred, it was moved to the next hearing, etc. And we came to watch several nights in a row. Finally, we kind of gave up on going in person to watch, and we watched on Olelo from home. And late one night, of course, it was chair said, let's amend this and let's insert various things, and one of them was the corporate cap issue, and actually didn't even announce the amount of the cap. And thankfully, Chris Lee, new representative, asked, hey, how much is the cap? And the chair said, well, okay, we're making it $50,000. So, of course, our little group got active again and emailed all of our folks, and with a lot of sort of, I think, citizen emails and media pressure, it was recommitted again. And now we know something's up. We think something's still out there, so we're kind of waiting to see what happens next. We're guessing Senate Bill 93, which is also a campaign contributions topic bill, looks like a potential choice. So we're kind of not done with it, but for now it's quiet. So I guess just to talk a little bit about what we think sort of worked, and basically I think public attention. We kind of were able to draw shed some sunlight on this process, and with the citizen emails and the media attention, it became too difficult for them to pass it. We had a number of groups really dedicated to the cause, and I think with the various leaders in the different groups kind of strategizing and staying up late and writing testimony and passing the word on, that really was critical to have a group of really dedicated people working on it. And everyone's kind of volunteer, kind of amateur, we're just sort of doing it as we can, and it's been fun and it's been difficult, but people can do it. If you if you have some free time and some lack of sleep. Media, we worked a lot with the media. We sent out a lot of press releases, and we got to know some of the reporters. Last year we did editorial board meetings, and then kind of followed up with those same people this year. And we were really excited this year when both Star Bulletin and Advertiser sort of backed our stance of we should get rid of corporate contributions. The blogs followed it, Ian Lind and others. Ian Lind actually took a sort of different position, but it was interesting because all the blogs sort of debated with each other, which was kind of fun to read. We definitely had help from some friendly legislators who kind of helped us, work through how the process would work and what we should anticipate, that sort of thing. Grassroots, of course, all the people who sent in emails and called their legislators, including some folks from Kanu, helped collect names for letters. And I think a big thing too was sort of the communication and the relationships between the different organizations. And a lot of us have worked together over the years on various topics, and because we all sort of knew and trusted each other, it was really good to work that way. And so I think those relationships among the advocates over the years really helps. And I also think that in a way this was sort of easy in a way because the message was very clear. We kind of came to this position of like not sort of fiddling with all the little details, but thinking no. Kind of at the core issue here is that we should ban corporate contributions, and that was very clear to all of us, and that kind of something we could really hold true in our heart of hearts. And we also found so much material from national organizations and other states that sort of backed up our point, and so it really kind of worked, I think, for sort of our enthusiasm for the issue. I guess some lessons learned. We really believe that legislators want to do the right thing, but in the face of many sources of pressure, it becomes very difficult. And I think they need people like us. I think Senator Hooser kind of touched on this earlier. They really need people like us to sort of help them and support them and give them the right support so that they can do the right thing. And another lesson learned, it's hard, but it's not that hard because there's so few people actually involved in the legislature. If you can round up a small group of dedicated people, you can actually make a big difference. And I'm actually really excited that there are so many people here I don't know, because that means that you potentially could be down there, and then we'll recognize each other down there, and that would be really neat to have new people down in the legislature. Finally, also, if you care about any issue, whether it's environment or education or whatever it is, I really beg you to spend some time thinking about these process issues, because the process right now, I think, does not foster citizen participation very well. Just a lot of it has to do with time. I think, like you mentioned earlier, we have like 48 hours notice maybe for a hearing, 72 in the Senate. That's not a lot of time for you to figure out what you want to say and like write it down and then get your friends to come out with you. The hearings are in the middle of the day when people are working. In the case of finance, they were like late at night, and some of these things happen seriously like after midnight. In some cases, the amendments, like the one I described earlier, they're not shown to the public ahead of time, so you can't really testify to the amendment itself because you don't even know that until it comes out of the committee. And so basically that kind of leaves us with a situation where only paid lobbyists and other people who have tons of free time to hang out at the legislature can really get involved, and I think that's just wrong. And I think we need to set up the system better so that people can have a little bit more lead time. I know the actual practical implications of this is kind of difficult. Maybe it means lengthening the legislative session so that there's more time, making the legislature subject to the Sunshine Law, and then also I think it also means electing legislators so that they will carry out some of these sort of open process ideals. And to elect good legislators, I think we may need to talk about, again, campaign finance and voter registration and all these other things. So that's kind of what I wanted to cover. I guess I'll leave you with one of my new favorite quotes, which I found in the classic On Leadership by John Gardner. If you haven't seen this, I think you'd really enjoy it. Founder of Common Cause. He says, "Citizen action beyond the ballot is essential if government is to be held to account. All of the special interests that influence government have found ways of voting between elections. So must citizens. Citizen action is not only good for government, it is good for the citizens doing the acting. It cannot be emphasized too often that an alert citizenry with a tradition of citizen action is the ultimate guarantee against the abuse of power. Our system provides many well-designed protections, but if citizens neglect their duties, we risk the dangers from which the system cannot save us." So just really keeping in mind that we have to stay involved. It's not just one issue and then finish it. It's like just this constant, I think, duty on all of our parts to stay involved and to participate, and as much as you can, spend some time down there and getting to know everyone. getting to the legislators, and then thinking about these